All right, gang, welcome aboard. Welcome to the Mac Forum Sunday video chat for July 3rd of 2016. I want to go ahead and get right into things here for this evening. It's going to be a real short show, but I'm going to take a minute and show you some things that I got involved with this week. Uh, give you an idea of some of the things that were going on. Um, First of all, welcome to our newest member. I believe it's Radil. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And hope that you find a lot of good, useful information uh, in your uh, in your travels through the forum. Also, I hope all the rest of our new members will also find good information in the forum. Remember, for those of you who haven't joined and maybe you're just catching the video later in the week, if you haven't already joined the forum, in order to ask a question in an area where it might be seen by lots of members, you need to go ahead and join and get that taken care of. So that'll hopefully get you going in the right direction. I want to today I'm going to depart from the usual procedure just a little bit. In the last few weeks, what I've been doing in most of the shows has been to present you with a series of tips and tricks um, and all of that kind of information. Today, I'm going to take a break from that. I'm going to show you something in just a second here that I did yesterday, just in a matter of a few minutes. It's a feature that I don't use very often. Okay, um, and I thought I would do this one just as a quick tutorial on creating screenshots. Well, not actually screenshots, but screencast, where you demonstrate something by video. And there's a lot of third-party software out there that will do those types of screencasts. But I'm going to show you how to do it using something that is already on your Mac. We're going to do it using QuickTime X Pro, and I'll show you that in just a second. And probably every couple of weeks, maybe as late as once a month, what I'm going to start doing is taking something like this little quick project that you can do using your Mac, and I'm going to try to confine it to software that is either already on your Mac or software that can be downloaded for free. So, in other words, these are projects that are really quick, won't cost you anything in terms of additional money for software and things like that. Okay, so let's get right into this one. One of our members asked me, posted a thread in the forum about um, trying to improve audio to make it a little more understandable to him. And I found a piece of software that I thought would maybe do the job, but the software was kind of confusing. And so in an effort to explain the software to him, I created this little screen video, screencast for him, and I emailed it to him. Now I'm going to turn the volume down on this because if I don't, you're going to hear a lot of echo and feedback as my mic picks up the sound from my Mac. But note that it did have audio. I'm going to let this play for a second so you can see what it does. It's about 2 minutes. We won't do the whole 2 minutes, but just have a look at this, and then I'll tell you how I created it. All right, this little intro here, I'm just kind of explaining to him what to do, and in just a second, you'll start to see there as I'm moving down. I'm pointing out the uh, just in case he's having difficulty hearing the sound. I've got the text of the audio right there on screen. I'm kind of pointing it out on video. I also emailed him the transcript so that he could look at that if he was having difficulty with the audio. You can, when you do a screencast, um, create closed captioning files, but I don't really have the ability to do that easily within QuickTime. I'm gonna you can do that easily with some third-party software that I don't have right at the moment. Now I'm gonna let this skip ahead for just a minute and you'll see what happens here. Okay. That's the piece of software that I was demonstrating for him, showing the interface elements and what needed to change. And so you can see that this is what this video was designed to do. And now I'm gonna close it, not close this video completely because I'm gonna come back to it in a second. But I'm gonna shrink this down and I'm gonna show you how I created it. The first thing I did is I opened QuickTime. I made sure the QuickTime Player Pro was open. That's built into your Mac. Um, and what I did is to choose new screen recording as my option. You don't want to choose new audio recording. That's going to do audio only. And you don't really want to do new video recording. You want to choose the one that says new screen recording to make sure that it captures what's on your screen. This little window is going to pop up on your screen. And as you can see, these little squiggly lines right here mean that it's picking up the audio from my microphone. That'll be a good visual indication for you that you are actually getting audio in your broadcast. Now, here's what I need to warn you about. There are a couple of things that you can adjust. First of all, I don't recommend if you adjust this slider, that is the volume of the screencast. So as you're talking, it's playing it back. But I don't recommend sliding that upward because it frequently will cause some delays and that will be a little confusing. You'll hear yourself a second or so, or maybe half a second or so delayed, and it gets kind of confusing. For right now, leave that down as it is. The indication that you've got good audio is going to be right here on this little slider. Okay, now one of the things that you need to do, if you do not see these little squiggly lines, here's the solution. First of all, you want to click right here, this little triangle right next to the little recording button. Sometimes it's kind of hard to hit here. I had a little trouble with this last night. But what happens here, if this doesn't seem to want to pop down at the moment, but you can choose your audio input and you can also choose to have it show mouse clicks. And when show mouse clicks is enabled, that means that when you go up here and you do this and you click on one of these menu entries, then that's going to show as you're moving your mouse. If you choose not to show the mouse clicks, then it's not going to show that. Once I've got my microphone set to the parameter that I want, and now in earlier versions of this software, the selector button where you pick your microphone was over here, a little drop down triangle over here. In El Capitan, it's been moved right close to the record button. Now I'm just going to hit record, and it's going to tell me, look at what it says. If I want to record the whole screen, I'm just going to click. And then when I want to, if I'm going to record just part of it, I'm going to click and drag. All right. So what I do before I start the recording, what I did last night is this. I had my transcript of the little video transcript that I used. Let me see if I can find that. I know I have it here. And I had a video clip open. I'm just going to reopen the other video clip that was there. What's going to happen when you start this in QuickTime, it will, when you start a new recording, what it's going to do is as soon as you click, it's going to start that recording process. Let me go back and reset this here. To end it, all right, to end it, you're going to go right here. There's a little stop button right here in the menu and click stop. Now, as you can see, it's recorded what I've done in the last few seconds here. This is not very, as you can see, it's just recorded what I've done in the last few seconds here. Now, the difference between this video and the one I did yesterday, here's what I did ahead of time. Now, as you can see, you have the option of saving. Now, instead of saving, what I did yesterday is when the video was over, I went in and chose export. And you can see you have different options for the quality of the video that you want to export. Obviously, a 1080p file is going to be a much larger file than if you say do one for iPad quality. The iPad quality of about a 2.5 minute video takes up about 400 megabyte, give or take. Um, I managed to email it to that particular user without any problems. You can also export the audio, just the audio if you want to. And then, so once you've done that, I'm going to pretend that I've already exported it. And I'm going to go ahead and close this because I don't need this little sample recording to show you what's next. Okay. What I did with the video yesterday is the following. Let me pull that back up on the screen here. What I did is before I started the video, let's look back at the very beginning. Before I started the video, I opened up this video file that I was going to be showing him or using. And then I opened up my transcript and I had both of those on the screen. And I had also emailed him this just in case he could not see it well on the video. Okay. And then I started the recording. And then as I went through the movements, it opened the different areas. And as you can see, that's kind of a walkthrough of the software and how you did it. Once I finished, I exported it out as I just showed you. Now I have one more quick little set of tips to add for this. This little video is you could send it out as is if everything came out okay. But let's say last night when I did this, there was a problem at the beginning. The recording didn't start early enough. There was a little bit of a lag between when I hit the button and when the recording actually started. So I had already said a few words. So what I did when I discovered that, I stopped the recording. When I played it back, I discovered that. I redid the recording, and this time I hit the button and I waited silently for a couple seconds, and then I started talking. Now, let's suppose you want to edit those couple of seconds out of there. Here's how you do it. You're still in QuickTime Player. You're going to do, if you already know, well, I'll show you one way to do it, and then I'll show you a second way that might be more useful. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move to somewhere in the video that I want to cut out. In other words, let's say that this is 12 seconds in. Let's say I want to cut the first 12 seconds. Just for the sake of argument, I could have made it anywhere. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit Command Y, and that's going to bring up this window right here that you can see. It marks, it sets this up as a marking point. When I click on this, that section turns yellow. That means that's the area that's selected right now. If I were to hit delete right now, that is the segment that's going to go away. If I click on this side, this long segment is the one that's going to go away. And here's the other thing I can do if I need to make multiple cuts. I can go ahead and go back into play mode. I've already marked one place now where I have it. I can go into play mode, go back into play mode for a second, and scroll forward a little bit in the video. And now I'm going to mark another place. I'm going to do Command Y again. Now I have 3 different sections here. I've got that first section. I've got this middle section right here. And then I've got this, the end section. Whichever one I want to cut out, that's the one I highlight. I hit delete and it's gone. and you can use the little red slider here to slide back and forth, and then let it play and watch. There's going to be a jump here that's not going to make sense. Right? That's there, but there's some stuff that got cut out of this. How much gets cut out depends on what you select. That's one way to do this kind of edit in QuickTime. And of course, if I wanted to, let's say I don't like that edit and I want to change it, I want to put it back. I hit Command Z to undo my command. There it is. It's back there now. Let me show you the other way to do that kind of edit. This editing is good if I just want to clip like the beginnings, ends, and that kind of thing. But QuickTime has another couple of features that I find useful sometimes. I had a little trouble getting used to this, but it's really nice once you see it. Go up to the edit menu, and then what you're going to do is go up here, and what you're going to do is pick let's see if I see it here. There's a way to go in and basically trim the video. You're going to get it to show clips first, and then use the trim command. And what that does is you pick your starting point. That same window comes up, and you set your starting point, you set your end point, and the trim command is going to keep everything in the middle. Okay, it'll take a little getting used to for that one. Um, sometimes it's an interesting little problem for me to get it to come up right. Here's another feature that you can use. Um, Adjusting the top, bottom, left, and right. As you can see, if you've got a clip selected, you can rotate it left, right, horizontally, vertically. You can flip it in these different directions. If the clip has subtitles, you can show those. Now here, I'm going to show you that. The show clips, Command L, I believe it is. Here's my clip line. Now watch what happens when I choose trim. I was trying to find that. When I go to the trim tools, I'm going to click down here. I'm going to select this. And here's what happens if it will show up. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm still mastering trim. I'm going to go here to the trim command and watch what happens. I get these little handles. Yeah, my screen just went black for a second because I moved too far over and activated screen sleep. But I get these little handles down here that I can then slide to the left or right and adjust where I am in the clip. And then if I want to, let's say that's where I want to be. When I click delete this time, now I'm going to keep part of this. Okay. And of course, you can undo, and it's going to beach ball here for me a second. It usually doesn't. I think part of it is having so many video things going on at one time. When you're through with the clip, you can go back in and export it as you. I like to export it with a different name so that I can go back to the original clip if I need to do anything like that. I'm finding QuickTime really helpful when I need to do quick edits and I just don't need iMovie to do a full thing. Um, you could another thing that I've done with QuickTime Player, and it looks like it may have beach balled into oblivion here. Trust me, that does not happen often. I'm going to go ahead and quit it because that's going to do it basically for the demo. I'm going to try to do maybe a little bit different example to show you a little bit more of what it can do at a later date. But I thought you might like to look at using it to do things like screencasting. As I say, it does not do some of the things that third-party screencasting software does. I'm not saying it's a substitute for that. If you do screencast regularly or you really need to do some top quality screencasts, then you might want to look at some third-party software. But for just a one-off screencast every now and then, or if you want to do a real quick clip to send to a friend to explain how to do something, that's a good way to do it. You can put the video up on Dropbox and send your friend a link and be done with it. In some cases, you can even email it depending upon their email gateway. Just about anything that goes on screen, you can record. There is third-party software that will let you create closed captioning for screencasts. That takes a little more time sometimes. There's also some third-party software that will put uh, a description of any modifier keys that you press. For example, some of you probably know by now that the volume slider, if I hold down the option key, I get a list of all my input and output options. Okay. Right now, I'm holding the option key, but you can't see that. If I had that other third party software installed, it would show on screen that I was holding the option key. That's probably a good thing. And now that I'm doing a few more videos, video casts, rather than you having to stare at my nice, gorgeous type face here, I'll probably be adding some of that software so that when I do these types of screencasts, you can see them. Uh, and that's it. That's just a quick overview of screencasting QuickTime. Trust me, it worked better last night when I rehearsed it. Worked a little cleaner and didn't beach ball on me. Works really well. The editor, if you have the time to play around with it, it takes some getting used to. You can, to be a little more precise in making your cuts and marking where they are, use the player, the scrubber in the player to go left and right, and then use your left and right arrow keys. Just give you a real quick example of that here. Let me grab the video and you can see. I'll show you what I mean. When it opens, you can, and there the video's open. So I'm gonna get Boom 2 back up again. And it's decided to be a little bit of a pain in coming up. But what you'll notice is that it you can use the arrow keys to move left or right frame by frame. The left and right arrow keys. The up and down arrow keys adjust the volume on the video clip that you're working on. I generally don't do those. If I've got audio editing to do, I export the audio and then load it into something like Audacity, or in my case, I use Amadeus Pro. I'm just a little more familiar with it. I don't recommend cutting anything out of the audio until you put it back in and then to the video, and uh, then you can make your actual cuts in audio. What I use Amadeus Pro for when I do these kinds of videos is to sometimes I can eliminate certain kinds of background noise, or I can boost the audio a little bit if I need to. It's best to try to get good audio as you're recording, but occasionally you'll find a need to maybe sweeten the audio a little bit. If you're familiar with some of these audio editors, you can get some really good results. But you generally don't want to clip the beginning, middle, or end of the audio. You'll want to do that once you marry it back together with the video, and then work from there. So that's going to do it for our little screencasting demo. I'm planning to, as I say, add some more of these in the future. Little projects that you can do with the software that came with your Mac. I've done a little bit of photo retouching in preview, just color correction type stuff. I've done some other things with QuickTime that you can do just with conversion. Sometimes it handles that really well. One of the things that you can do with QuickTime is if you've got one clip open that you're editing and you want to add another clip, you can do that. There's a function in there that says add clip to end. You've got the first clip open. If you choose the add clip to end, and what it's going to do is then it's going to give you an option to pick the video that you want to add, and then it's going to attach that to the end of the clip that you're working on. QuickTime Pro is not as full features an editor, obviously, as iMovie, but it can do some things if you just need some quick and dirty editing. So that's going to do it for this week. I hope that you've enjoyed this little tip. Um, and I will be seeing you next week with our usual roundup of tips, tricks, and information. I may have another one of these little mini tutorials. I'm going to try to uh, add those fairly rarely. They may not come every week, particularly once school starts, but at least about twice a month if I can get them done a little more quickly than I did this one. Um, and we'll see what we can do about that, but hopefully you'll find them helpful. If you've got an idea for a tutorial that you'd like to see or a project you'd like to see me demonstrate, let me know in the show thread. I'll put a note at the bottom of the video with a link to the thread, or start your own thread in the forum, either way. And let me know what you'd like to see me try to do. Remember, my goal is to do these projects with software that either is already present on the Mac or can be readily had on the internet as a free download. And by free, I do not count software that you have to pay for that you can BitTorrent. So please don't send me a link that says if you BitTorrent Adobe Premiere, you can do this for free. No, that's not what I mean. Free means exactly what it says. The author has decided that it's either free or donationware, in which case you make a donation if you want to. I'm not dealing with torrented software, okay? So that's just a caveat for those of you that are about to post a project that says you can get Adobe Premiere or you can get Microsoft Word or Office for free. I don't want to know. Okay. Uh, and so I know none of you are going to do that, but just in case, we got some outsiders that, some Windows people. And that little warning reminds me that I've hit my self imposed 30-minute limit. So we're going to stop the little alarm there. And I will see you guys in the forum during the week. And until next week, this is your host, Sylvester Rock, aka Sly Dude on the forum. Hope you enjoy the remainder of the 4th of July weekend if you're here in the States. I hope my Canadian buddies enjoyed Canada Day recently. And until next week, I'll see you in the forum.